Hi, this is Connie Giordano with Walking in Truth Ministry. Join me now as I deliver this stirring message from God's holy word. Matthew Henry, the renowned Bible commentator, once said, "When there is a general decay of piety and honesty among men, the times are then truly bad." He was talking about a time when unscrupulous ambition appeared to rule supreme. Truth was scorned as folly, and the God of lies was enthroned in the national heart. He was referring to a time when wickedness abounded, when barefaced, under the protection and countenance of those in authority. He was referring to a time when the godly were suppressed and the wicked were maintained. There was no regard to truth. Falsehood and flattery abounded, and seemingly honor was done to the worst form of sins. David describes such a time in Psalm 12 when he said, "The wicked walk on every side, when the vilest men are exalted." Instead of seeing a society that embraced godly principles and admired those who did, he saw one that embraced the vilest of men. Instead of putting laws in execution against vice and injustice and punishing the wicked according to their merits, they patronized and protected them and gave them countenance. The vilest men were exalted to high offices, to places of trust and power. While the wicked were in the ascendance, the righteous were treated with contempt. Nothing became off limits or out of bounds anymore. Wickedness abounded. All places were full of the wicked. They had full license and walked at liberty. Seemingly they were wholly unrestrained. They had none to check or control them. In a sense, they declared their sin as Sodom, roaming undisturbed and doing evil. Everyone talked in the lie language. They were people of the lie, using their words not to advance truth, but their own evil ends. In Psalm 12:4, David described them in this way, "Who have said, with our tongue will we prevail. Our lips are our own. Who is Lord over us?" In other words, by our tongues, by our lies, we can accomplish what we will. Our lips manage the world. What made matters worse, David went on to describe in Psalm 12:1, "For the godly man ceaseth, for the faithful fail from among the children of men." The godly man, the one who endeavored to resemble God, who governed all his actions in conformity to his word, who dared to defend truth and show mercy to the oppressed, ceaseth, either by death or desertion. Some were cut off by death, while others were ceasing to exert their godly influence due to desertion. They became conformed to the world like other men. They fell into habits of sin. The faithful, those true to God's covenant, who professed faith in God and were bound by vows to be faithful to God and his cause, failed. Consequently, iniquity prevailed. Charles Spurgeon said it in this way, "When godliness goes, faithfulness inevitably follows. Without the fear of God, men have no love of truth. common honesty is no longer common when common irreligion leads to universal godlessness. The pulpit commentary said, when wickedness gets the upper hand in these ways, times are hard indeed for good and faithful men. So what are the righteous to do? What did David do? He cried mightily to God against the prevailing wickedness. He realized that human help failed. Did he pray a long, profound prayer? On the contrary, he prayed a short, seasonable, and direct prayer. It was to the point. It took scarcely a second to offer it. It was rightly aimed, straight to the throne of God. It consisted of 2 words. Those 2 words were, "Help, Lord." Man's puny arm is broken, but I ask you to put out your mighty arm. Help, Lord. Society is waxing worse and worse. The righteous are failing out of the land. Falsehood and perversion is prevailing. There are fears on every side. I need your help. Help, Lord. David knew that God was his help in labor and shield in danger. He knew that God was his deliverer from trouble. He knew that trouble was near and there was none to help. He remembered in days past, for many years in circumstances of varied trial, he was upheld by God. Psalm 27:9 says, "Thou hast been my help." Now when troubles came up that were great and overwhelming, he knew what to do, to cry mightily unto the Lord. Help, Lord. Give us help from trouble, for vain is the help of man. The church of today is facing a similar predicament. The lawless are prospering because the ungodly rule, and vile men are exalted. What is the church to do in a time of departure from God, resulting in terrible wickedness and persecution of the righteous? She is to do as David did. She is to cry mightily unto her God. Help, Lord. She knows her answer to prayer is certain. God's gift of Jesus is a pledge of every good thing. Hence he will surely hear and answer. For I, the Lord thy God, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, Fear not, I will help thee.